friends, welcome back to the Messed Up Movies Podcast, the podcast that celebrates movies and filmmakers that embrace the insane, the outrageous, the unhinged, the off-kilter, and the all-around kind of messed up fun you can't take your eyes off of. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Griffey, joined as always by my friend, co-host, and librarian with an alter ego,
Alex Dandino.
All right, a little bit of business here, people. Please go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon, the best way to support and help us grow this show. Lots of exclusive, awesome stuff over there. Movies, miniseries. You get a vote on movies you want us to talk about. We do a lot of work over there to make that fun for you, especially here in October. It would mean the world to us if you would go give us a little treat this October. Make sure you go to Misfit Parade's YouTube channel, subscribe there. Misfit Parade on YouTube, video version of the pods. Short content over there. We're unveiling our new messed up movie kill list. The most messed up kills of all time. Essentially, it's just a list of ranking our favorite movie kills. So that's a lot of fun. We're on all the socials you're on. Find us there. All right. As you heard yesterday. God, yeah, we're doing one of these a lot. So yesterday you heard us talk about 1931's Dracula. We laid out that this October we're doing a little bit of a different version of our October Mega Marathon. It's not the same, but we wanted to bring the heat this summer. So we decided, or it's fall. So we decided we would pair Universal horror films with Hammer horror films and kind of compare, contrast, talk about what we love. We're going back to the roots of horror with this curation on our first October as the Messed Up Movies Podcast. We are here today to talk about the Hammer horror film, Horror of Dracula, 1958, directed by Terence Fisher. This is kind of our introduction to Peter Cushing as Van Helsing and Christopher Lee as Dracula. These two will become the cornerstones, very much like Lugosi and Karloff, of this kind of new Hammer horror revival. So if you look at it, Hammer horror was it was established in 1934, right? So not long after Dracula had already hit big, right? So we have this studio that's making movies. They actually made the very first British film that was nominated for the Best Academy Award, apparently. Somewhere in the middle of this, right? 1955, they decided they were going to go with more fantasy, sci-fi, horror kind of movies, right? With a serial series called The Quartermass Experiment, right? That was 1955, I believe. Through that, they start this up, right? Hammer horror, in earnest, to me, starts with the Horror of Dracula, right? This essentially becomes let's kind of redo the same pool of tales that Universal really tapped in, right? Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde get one. You'll hear us talk about Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde later this month. So a lot of monsters and this and that. Hammer eventually kind of devolves into this kind of really trashier versions of these, right? Which is just giant breasted maidens in all kinds of peril, right? Whether that be witch or vampire or whatever. Love those movies too. Not here to throw shade. But with this first one, right? Comparing this to the original Dracula, right? This is high Technicolor. This is a Dracula who is essentially a full predator in attack mode the whole movie. Dracula runs. Right. He attacks ferociously, right? Van Helsing is more a man of action. He actually plants his flag and takes over the room whenever he enters. The shot of this movie that I think of all the time when I compare and contrast these two visions of Dracula. One, Christopher Lee's like 6'5". He's an enormous man. An enormous, beautiful man at the time, right? So he has very much that Lugosi kind of vibe, but scarier, bigger, right? The shot when Harker's telling this lady in the library, he's like, I'll help you if I can. She's like, help me. And they look up, and she's in terror, right? And Dracula's at the top of those stairs, which they always put Christopher Lee at the top of stairs in this movie, even though he's already fucking huge and terrifying. And was a terrifying man in real life, like killed people, right? Is part of the military, not just willy-nilly. But he sees Dracula at the top of these stairs, and we zoom in, and his fangs are drenched in blood. His eyes are fucking bloodshot, right? And he's just screaming down at Harker and them, and rushes into the room and starts smacking people around and throwing them around. And I was like, oh, Hammer Horror is going to do Dracula in a very different way. But that shot of Christopher Lee all blood-soaked and just exploding out of his eyeballs, to me, is the core difference in how this Dracula wants to be told. Alex, what did you make of the Horror of Dracula?
Well, being the first Hammer horror movie out the gate, it sets its own tone, which is really, again, I think this is a really, there's like key components here too. Like it's post-war, which is really fascinating. So there's like, I don't know about you. I'm sure this is unintentional, but that opener for the credits where it like is the it's the tracking shot of that eagle. It's like that's weirdly Nazi iconography, kind of like that weird little eagle.
Yeah,
like, just felt that way. You know, there's this really fascinating sort of I don't know, like it's just like it's like I think because it's close, you can have the air there, and you're like, oh, bad guy, I get it. Also, because the actual Castle Dracula doesn't really look like a castle to me. It doesn't have this imposing feel. It just has this like
it's not
stately
that big
Wayne
like
Manor
castle
vibe.
on the side of a cliff, right? It's just kind of this.
Yeah, it's just
looks
like
very functional and lived in.
Yeah, it's stately Wayne Manor, but not like off the side of a cliff. You're just like, oh, that's in the cottage. It's in the country somewhere. That's beautiful. Love it. I think that the unassummingness of the Hammer horror of this particular Hammer horror film, because like obviously there's other ones. Like as soon as I was watching this, my kid walked in and he was like, "What are the other ones?" And we started watching trailers for like The Mummy and all the other shit, and I was like, "Yeah, this is very different." But I think like there's a level of unassuming that comes with it. I think what's fascinating about Christopher Lee, I don't think, and I'm not saying that no one's ever seen other Christopher Lee movies, but I think there's a core group of the tens of people who listen to this show who maybe don't know that Christopher Lee acted in things before Lord of the Rings. He was a fucking sex symbol for quite some time.
Yeah, he became like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. He was like the big franchise guy at the end, right?
Which is great. The old guy. He was the old guy.
I tried to explain him to my kids, but it was like, that's a man who lived so much life, right? He was a British Special Forces agent. Like the classic is when he told Peter Jackson. He never
gave details.
Yeah, he told Peter Jackson, he's like, men don't scream when you stab them in the back. The air is driven from their lungs. And Peter Jackson's like, holy shit, this guy's actually killed human beings by like stabbing them in the back. And it's like, he had a metal band in his late age, which is, if you've never heard, it's just Christopher Lee with this deep voice with like kind of gothic metal band. It's awesome. So good. This guy led a big, huge life. And I told my kids, like, he's one of those guys who are like, God, I'd love to sit in a pub with him and just fucking smash beers and have him tell me stories. That's a guy you want to be, right? When they put you in the ground, there's a lot of stories to tell, right? And Christopher Lee, he's this big, handsome guy, but he also he had very much that Lugosi quality of just this fucking piercing, judging,
it's
like,
that presence,
break you down stare.
It's not even that he's just like, and he's fucking huge. It's not even that. It's that when he walks when he enters the room. I think too, like, you said it on the Dracula show, and I agree with this. Like, it is like a panther walking into the room. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a reaction, there's a reactiveness to this Dracula that he's playing that is so, it's so instinctual. It's so animalistic. It's really cool.
Yes.
And then like
he brings out the predator nature of the vampire so much more.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like, this is also much more. I mean, like, I don't remember. I guess I didn't really look closely enough. I don't remember Lugosi revealing fangs at all. Like, it was just.
See, I don't remember fangs either, but we also didn't show him ever like biting anyone. He's moving very slow. Christopher Lee's the opposite. We see
Christopher Lee's is
in
like,
blood.
That shot. That shot's pretty famous, where he's just with the blood red eyes and everything.
I mean, it's the poster to me of Hammer horror. Is that one shot? Because it's so beautiful, absolutely. And the colors are vibrant. And again, it's old world monsters, but we're not romanticizing it like we did in Dracula. It feels like. I think you could argue that Christopher Lee still has the kind of seductive qualities and the presence, but I mean, we see him beat people's ass in this movie. Like, Dracula's not like, disappearing and running away as a wolf. He's just like, backhand, throw you over here. Like, he starts fucking whooping ass.
Yeah,
and it gives this lively jolt of energy to what I think the vampire at times could become very kind of stuffy and aristocratic, right? This above the fray kind of thing. And Christopher Lee brought in this this is a predator. This is a fucking carnivore, right? If you jump in a cage with a fucking starving tiger, that's what Christopher Lee's giving us. And so his kind of cool demeanor, right? The Lugosi kind of presence, right? That he's recapturing is more of a, because again, we talked about in Todd Browning's Dracula, how Dracula, when he sees the vein, he kind of slowly creeps towards it, right? Christopher Lee's cool facade becomes this like, how long can I maintain this before I have to attack? And I think that it's always this fucking junkyard dog on a leash with him. And again, I think the interesting thing about Christopher Lee, too, is the cornerstone of this. He became Frankenstein's monster. He became the Mummy. Like, he was the cornerstone monster for all of these, right? More like a Lon Chaney.
He was the main. He was like him and Peter Cushing were like the main Hammer horror actors. Who, like,
so let's talk about this too.
They put him in.
Yeah, because this is the other big difference I'd love your opinion on. I think Peter Cushing being more of a worthy adversary as Van Helsing in this. This is the one element of the movie that not is just different, but makes the movie so much more engaging and thrilling. Like, Van Helsing looked like he needed one of those, like, walkers that also has a chair on it in Todd Browning's. Right? And Dracula has that great line, like, for a man who's not even lived one life, you're very wise. In this one, Van Helsing's wise, but also, like, he gets it popping. Like, he's ready to go into action, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the prototype for, because after, I think every 10 years or so, they try to redo Van Helsing as, like, some sort of, like, oh, that guy's some sort of crusader. And I'm not just saying this because there was that fucking, just because
it kind of tops out with Hugh Jackman, yeah. It's like, that's a lot of abs and swinging on ropes.
They do try to, like, make Van Helsing, like, a formidable person. And I do think it's because Peter Cushing put the work in this movie to be like, hey, I'm not just some fucking fuddy-duddy who, like, reads books and knows shit.
I don't have the giant Coke bottle glasses and you put a stick in my bike spokes, dude. I'm here to get it going.
I'm here to fucking play. Like, let's party.
And Peter Cushing, I think the incredible thing about him is he has that exact kind of walks into a room and owns it presence, right? Because you can see a world where Peter Cushing is Dracula. And I think the idea that you look at him and you're like, he easily could have been the Dracula, makes him a more worthy adversary. Yeah. And I think Peter Cushing is the thing that this movie does way better than the original.
Yeah, I think that's the key component to why Dracula and the eternal struggle between Dracula and Van Helsing is because they are kind of one and the same. They're these two men just motivated by, like, just endless knowledge. Like, they've seen things that no one else has seen. Obviously Dracula's much older and that kind of thing. But there's something that's very specific about it that ultimately just makes you think, "Oh, wow, I'm watching two people. I'm not just watching I'm not watching an old man get outsmarted or outfoxed by this ancient. I'm watching two
he's not like
slowly
going through the Dewey Decimal cards, right? Like,
well, like,
he is a man of action.
This is the example I always like to look at when it comes to this is in the Todd Browning Dracula, the scene, like the Bela Lugosi stare plus the fingers, and he just, like, starts to drift. Like, Van Helsing just drifts towards him. I'm like, only there would that ever happened in a movie. Like, in any other movie, in any other respect. And here, too, Peter Cushing is just going to fucking whip out whatever he has to whip out. It wasn't this, like, last-second thing because, again, 1930s audiences aren't as sophisticated maybe as 1958 audiences, definitely aren't as sophisticated as 2025 audiences. You can't just, like... That's not how this is going to work. And also because we aren't so focused and entrenched in lore, it's stuff we already knew. Like, again, I keep going back to this and it blows my mind. That book came out in 1897 and Todd Browning's movie came out in 1931. The audiences couldn't have been that sophisticated in terms of, like, oh, I've done all my research. I know how vampires work. Mm-hmm. Now, like, especially in 2025, the trick is how are you going to surprise people? And I mean, unfortunately, like, Twilight was the last time anyone was surprised by vampire.
Well, now it's like Nosferatu who, like, skips leg day humping away on Lily Rose Depp. And you're like, I haven't seen that before. Not sure I needed to. That's wild, right? He's got a Jake the Snake mustache, and he's like, oh, just like humping away. And you're like, okay. So the sun, seeing the sun is like nutting.
Like.
Yeah. This is what a wet pussy feels like. It would be better if she was on her period, but I cannot complain.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, Jake the Snake said, Orlok is more like, on her period. And it's like, whoa, ew. You made it worse. You somehow made it worse.
What if I just go down on you a bunch? I legitimately like the Nosferatu movie, but that's exactly what it was.
I don't want to kill. I just want to go down on people and get my red wings. That is a buffet for me. And it's like, oh, dude. Oh, just kill him. Just bite the neck.
Missed opportunity in Nosferatu. We could have seen something really...
Oh, Robert Eggers. Maybe not as deep in the research as I thought.
We could really shake in that post-code repression.
Yeah, he's so worried about it being a period piece, he missed the periods. That's unbelievable.
He missed the period piece.
Yeah, unbelievable. A little piece of periods. Well, this got off the rails. Okay, wow. So here's another key element that's a big change that I think makes this movie thrilling, right?
Component here.
Yeah, and this one, I think this might be the least kind of sexualized Dracula, right? In a lot of Dracula movies, I feel like there's a lot more sex. I think the terrifying carnivorous nature of Christopher Lee, it puts that kind of sexuality a little further away from the core than a lot of other Draculas, right? It's still there, the penetrative act of biting and this and that. But the cool thing in this one is Harker shows up as like the stuffy librarian, right? He gets there. He's in the castle. Dracula is helping him carry his bags and all this, right? All the classic things that we've come to expect. And he's writing in his journal, right? And he just goes, I actually wrote this down. And he said, Dracula's like, look at this house you're on. He locks him in and he looks a little scared. And you're like, okay, we're doing the classic Dracula riff. And he just goes, he's writing in his journal and he's like, and with God's help, I will forever end this man's reign of terror. And you're like, oh shit, dude, yeah. Harker is a sleeper agent.
Harker's in
and
on
so,
it. Harker's
he's not there to be a librarian. He's there to fucking kill Dracula, right? Which becomes this really fun thing.
Which, by the way, we totally should have known. I mean, come on, like this fucking guy's a librarian. No, I don't think so.
To me, all British people feel like they could be librarians or hooligans. That's like the two molds of British people I feel like I acknowledge in movies.
I would go hooligans over librarians for sure.
I mean, they're more fun for sure.
I'm not sure I would buy that everybody. I'm not sure I would buy that they all function as librarians. I mean, I know plenty of American librarians who are much.
This guy shows up with like the fucking elbow pad jacket and shit. And he's like, "Oh yes, thank you." There's something the British airs, right, is actually a great setting to contrast with this kind of predatory Dracula.
Actually, that's what it is. That's exactly. You just hit the nail on the head. I think. That's another thing that I think contextually works much differently than the 1931 is that because this is a British film and because we are just like sort of inundated with, especially now, with what like British culture really is, that would be like, because like it's like that would be the thing that makes it even more sexual, I think, is that anybody who would be unrepressed. And this is actually something that comes up in the, I'm going to say it again. There's another thing. This is another one of the jokes throughout the run of Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is because there's a lot of Hammer horror bits in that one too. But the joke in that one is that everyone in London is so repressed that like anytime boobies get like seen, everyone's like, oh my God. Like Steven Weber's character.
I mean, I'm still like that to be fair.
Like Steven Weber's character gets freaked out when Mina tries to like grab his dick and, Stewart comes in. He's like, after only 7 years of being engaged to my girl, being engaged to my daughter, you just put her hands all over you. Like it's like that kind of stuff. That's the bit, and that I think actually factors into like another part of this, another level of sexuality in Horror of Dracula that is so like it's not like on Front Street, but it's just like perfectly undercurrent.
Yeah, it's a subtextual, right? That all these people feel very repressed and unfun, right? So
which is interesting.
He meets because like the hot Bride of Dracula lady walks in and he's kind of like he stiffens up.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And it's like, you got a fiance
like,
at home, but he's like, this lady's
me.
walking around in like the fucking bedroom clothes, dude. I can see her
Straight
clavicle.
up 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see her clavicle. This is fucking wild. Wild night at the castle, right? And so I think it layers these extra. This, again, I think is the benefit of having another 27 years of cinema, is that the narrative layering is more interesting, right? So now Harker's an agent. Now this lady who's a bride of Dracula is like, help me, I'm stuck. He keeps me prisoner. So now we're layering this. All right, does he know? Doesn't he? Oh, wait, he's in on it. And then when he finally finds her, and she's like, help me. And he kind of goes to hug her because he's like, oh, nice. I'm going to get this fucking tweed dong right up against that nightie. This is the closest thing to an affair you can have as a British man in the 50s. And she looks at his neck, and her fangs come out. Yeah. And this sets up the classic scene where then Dracula's there. And he's like howling. And he runs out and he starts beating the shit out of her. Fucking Harker's trying to throw hands, and he beats Harker up. And then
motherfucker!
Right? Harker gets it, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we go back to Van Helsing. He's coming to check out the castle. And he goes into the pub. And I think this pub scene is the cornerstone that Hammer Horror is built on, which is Peter Cushing walks in, not as the monster, but as a true fucking dashing, devil-may-care, dick-slinging hero. Because he walks into that pub, and they're all like, we don't like your types here. We don't get visitors. Don't mess with things that are above here. And he's just like, I'll have my bread and my brandy, right? He's like one of the Crane Boy mysteries, right, from Frasier. He's just got a little.
There's a hoi polloi to it all.
Yeah, and he's just talking amongst the hoi polloi like, dude, I ain't afraid of Dracula, right? I am equally as cool and badass. And that scene is so good, right? He gets the diary, he goes out, and the fucking carriage runs away. Mm-hmm. And again, I think this is another key Van Helsing moment. He goes into the dungeon, and he finds the bride. He smashes her, right? And then he finds Harker in Dracula's coffin with the fangs. And Cushing has this real like, God damn it, but then fucking takes him out. What do you make of this section? Because I think this is the underrated section, because we cut away from the Dracula story to really build Van Helsing.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's like what we've been talking about. I think a more sophisticated audience needs more than just like, oh, there's a bad guy, who's going to win? Like, this is also 1958, so we're still like, I mean, granted, it's England, so they're not doing code stuff, but, you know, it's moral relativism. Like, you still want the good guy to win. So I think giving motivation and giving screen time to a character that we really, like, we want that clash. So if you give screen time to Van Helsing,
yes,
what you're doing is giving credence for people to root for Van Helsing. Not just like, oh, I don't want anything bad to happen to that lady. It's, nah, dude, I want this fucking smackdown. Like, you want to fight.
They still do no fucking character development for any women in this story, right? They're just there to lay in bed or fucking take flowers away and get their fucking ward murdered.
Show their boobies, but that's again, it.
Yeah, it's the difference between when we only really see and remember Dracula and Renfield versus now Van Helsing is another worthy pillar, right? Now we're in the age of storytelling where it's not just the monster and the guy who creates the monster. We need a human representative to what happens when this evil comes to your neighborhood. Yeah. Who's the one who's going to rise up and stand against, right? This revolutionary guy who's going to fight back the forces of evil, even though he's like a fucking petite old man. That makes the story inherently more engaging and fun. When he goes back and he tells him, he's like, I can't tell you how Jonathan died. But suffice it to say, right, like, it wasn't good. And he's like, how dare you not tell us? You might have been in on it, blah, blah, blah. And then we see that he's coming to the house, right? And he's going to start feeding on Mina, right? She's got anemia, they think. And, you know, he's kicked out of the house, right? Because of British rules. He can't go knock on the door again. Then all of a sudden, the lady is so desperate, she goes to see him again. And he starts noticing the signs, and he's like, come in. And he has that, like, you know, if you want her to live, you do everything I say. And he does this motion, right, with his finger up to, like, prove the point. If you don't listen to everything I say, she will die. And sure enough, the maid takes everything away because she's like, I'm stifled, I can't breathe. You know, because old-timey medicine was like, just open the window, that'll fix it. And Dracula comes in for the final one and gets her, right? And it sets up this, because now Harker's brother is reading the journal, and there's just so much raw power in what Cushing's doing, right? And I think the movie really fucking hits its stride and takes off when we reveal Mina and Greta's daughter, right? What did you make of this scene as Greta comes in crying with the police officer?
I mean, again, it's adding. I really did try to do. I tried to do as much, like, not thinking about any other Dracula movies besides these two.
It's hard, man. We've seen this character so many times.
Yeah. I think for me, it was like one of those things where you're just appreciative that, because it is like, look, Dracula's it's a classic piece of literature. I think what you're appreciative of is exploring outside Dracula to make everything actually worth, like, again, it's just about storytelling. Like, I think this is like something we talk about a lot when we're writing. It's just like, you've got to make things worthwhile. And what you can't do, and again, I'm not saying Todd Browning was a bad director or Carl Freund or Bela Lugosi
completely different battle Dracula. They had to fight with
but
that
it's
movie.
Just a completely different argument. Like, when you're doing movies like this, and also, like, this is 80 minutes long with credits. Like, again, this is another tight one. You're just trying to give everyone a little piece. And again, I think it just lends credence to more like defeating Dracula is an important thing. I think in the 31 Dracula, saving people is important, obviously. But, like, it's not like it's just, this could be bad. Like, this guy might, like, take down everyone in the fucking neighborhood.
We're more beset on by something bigger than us, right? In this one, it's the this horror one is of very the scene, personal. Yeah, that's exactly the word for it. Is.
Like, it's very personal.
When Gerda's daughter is brought in, and she goes, she told me to come walk with her, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, who told you? Like, she's walking through the night, and she's like, Aunt Lucy, the girl who just died, tragically. They saw her in bed dead. And she's the one who asked me to come walk with her. So now you have a child who's in danger. You have an actual person who's related to them that they know coming back from the dead as a walker. To me, that always is going to have more emotional impact than the vampire who's been a monster for centuries, right? The idea that Lucy was this nice girl just waiting for Jonathan Harker to come back. Yeah. And now she's walking out. And when they go to that scene, and Harker's brother is like, oh, she's not in the grave. And we see her walk in with the kid, right? Leading her back to the fucking slaughterhouse. And then Jonathan sees her, and she's like, seeing Lucy, or Mina, whatever, Lucy, as the vampire, that has more weight than most Dracula characters, right? Other than maybe like a Renfield, but he's so far gone, we don't bond with that the way we do this moment, right? When you see Van Helsing put the cross to her head and burn, that has to emotionally work more for us.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the loose... because obviously, like, Lucy Westenra is a part of the story from the beginning, obviously, even the 31 one. I think the emotional weight that's put on the death of Lucy sets the tone for all the other Dracula movies, like all the other adaptations and all the other, like, versions of Bram Stoker's story. Lucy's death is so much more sad and tragic because she is just an innocent bystander. She's just a person who's living her life. She was just too intrigued.
She's the first normal citizen who gets chewed up.
Yeah. So, like, the thing about this version, the thing about Horror of Dracula that really makes it sing, I think, is this innocent bystanderness. Because, again, like, we're starting with Harker, and, like, in the original version, like, Harker is, Renfield's an innocent guy. He just doesn't realize, he gets duped. Harker is another guy who's just, like, getting fucked because, he's just doing his job. I think what's interesting about the Hammer one is that everybody is in on it except for Lucy. Mm-hmm. Like, Lucy is the true only innocent bystander of the whole thing. So the tragedy of her death and then the horror of her returning from the grave is so much scarier and terrifying. And, like,
oh my God,
poor, like, her, like, when she's sitting there in the woods and, the pre-Batman Alfred's just sitting there like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do. Like, that's like, there's an actual
the scene that hammers it home is when Van Helsing makes him come back to watch him stake his own sister. And after he hits her, and this is like we see blood on white dress, right? This is meat and bone stuff, right? And Harker's in the corner cowering. After he watches Van Helsing kill his sister, she reverts back to her beautiful, unmaimed, virginal form. Yeah. Right? And so it's really illustrating this, watching us lose all of this potential. That scene, again, that's what this one does so much more of.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's, again, there's more threads to pull in the Hammer horror one. And not only that, but like they're pulled and then sewn back into the fabric of the story so that the ending, when you get to the end, and like it is just this like, it is like a fucking brawl at the end. Like these guys are just like fucking decking each other.
Dude, we've got like carriage racing and like they're really fucking
like,
booking.
Like there's some heavy shit going on. It gives such emotional weight to it that you actually are like.
Speaking of weight, can we pause here and laugh at a moment in this? So they're running through, the little gatekeeper who's got the sniffles. They're breaking his carriage little stick to like block the road. When they get to Dracula's castle, because I guess it's just a carriage ride away, right? The sun's about to come up. When they come up and Van Helsing's like, look! And they look over, Christopher Lee's holding Mina, and he's dug this big-ass hole, and he just goes, what? And fucking chucks her into that hole. I fucking died laughing. He drops her like a bag of shit. He's just like, see you, bitch! And he takes off. He's got like that Wario build, so he runs like Wario. He throws her ass in the hole, and it's like,
I know.
Wow! And he's just fucking dashing up the stairs. So good.
It is like, man, it is just like she just gets dropped like a sack of potatoes, and you're like, wow, that was really unceremonial, actually.
You guys have made it very clear you don't respect women characters. This is
we get it. You don't respect women. Do we have to go that far?
Jesus Christ! I got it with the first backhand and titty outfit.
Dropping her in an open grave and then shoving dirt on her. I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys, we get it. Women are not important to you. My God. The shoveling dirt on her. I was like, oh my God, guys, come on.
There is also something about the thought that like before you were rich and could just have a backhoe, like the idea of Dracula out there like fucking digging a hole. It's just kind of funny. Like there's a physicality to that. That's
He's putting in the work.
Yeah.
I appreciate
and then
that.
him and Cushing have like a fucking brawl. And again, these explosive moments, that's when Christopher Lee's, because I think you could argue the characterization of him is much more minimal in this. He doesn't have the listen to the creatures of the night, right? For a man who's lived but one life. He doesn't have those eloquent lines and moments in this, right?
Well, he's just not doing it. He's just like, fuck this. I'm going to beat your ass.
And not only that, it's not in the script, right? So what Christopher Lee is selling us is the visage of the Dracula we know, and then the fucking like 1984 Royal Rumble Dracula, who's just fucking whipping ass all over the thing. And Van Helsing's trying to fight him.
Sorry.
It's great.
I'm still thinking about. I'm still stuck on this open grave thing. I would just love a gif of that. Laughing.
I just would love a gif of her just like ah.
Just this like surprised masturbator face, like ooh,
oh
Jesus Christ, you got me.
Uh-oh, mom came in and my dick's in my fuzzy slipper again.
Tosses her in, but has the wherewithal to start burying her. I was like, guys, come on.
It's so good. And again, we get this kind of worthy adversary fight.
I had to keep going.
He's beating Van Helsing's ass. I also kind of again, the physicality of this one really like comes through. But Van Helsing just running down that table and jumping on the curtains. And then Christopher Lee's like, ah! It was awesome. Like, I really was like enthralled in this.
Cool.
And Christopher Lee turning to ash, like there's that one unfortunate moment where his face starts to melt and they have those like orange like teddy bear eyes that are in him. But he just kind of turns to dust and he blows away. It's fucking great, man. And again, and we didn't see when Harker kills Dracula in the first one, right? We see him kill Renfield, but like we don't see it. He rolls down the stairs. When Harker or Van Helsing stakes Dracula, we don't see it. We just hear Lugosi go, oh. So even his death is this kind of understated mute thing. It's kind of understood now in vampire movies then when a vampire dies, it's a big explosive death, right?
Yeah.
So you think back to the first one where Lugosi's just, oh, like his CPAP machine got clogged or something, right? And then Christopher Lee's like, and he's melting and turning to dust. And there's this great shot where like a tuft of his hair rolls through the ash pile.
Yeah.
And it's fucking great, dude. And Mina comes back and Harker's holding her. You're like, it feels like a real adventure payoff, which is such a fucking welcome addition to the Dracula story.
Well, I think that's what's fascinating. I think that's the legacy of Hammer horror for Dracula too, is the big payoff. Because you have to have a big, like, it's not an understated movie. Like Todd Browning's version is so understated. This is so theatrical and bombastic that you have to have the worthy ending of this villain who's taken an innocent life, caused so much turmoil, like done these things that are truly horrific. Why wouldn't you give, like, and that, I think that's like the blueprint for Dracula and vampire movies in general moving forward, is like, you have to get rid of this evil in a spectacular fashion. And that theatricality just in
when
general.
they did their their Edgar Allan Poe stories, right? They're bigger, they're more colorful, they're syrupy, right? They're more sexualized, right? And I think you start to see, and again, Hammer eventually swings way far into the kind of like murder and sex. But that's the journey we're on through the time of these stories, right? Like tomorrow when we go back to Frankenstein, or not tomorrow, whatever the calendar day is, the next day we're doing one of these. You see it swing back to Frankenstein, and it's kind of fun to watch them in this yo-yoing order, because you kind of watch like where these stories start, and then the way that they start adding these more kind of sensational elements. And I think what is really fun about watching these movies in tandem is you see the great benefit of having this great source material in the book and this really effective and powerful Dracula film. And then you can take that, and instead of building the ship, from cutting down the tree, you're just like, now I got to add cool like pirate decorations. Now I'm making the ship awesome, but the ship's built. And I think that's what the Hammer horror movies to me is. I don't think of them as like rivals or which one's better. I think of them as like putting this beautiful new coat of paint on a pretty nice house that already existed. And I think they're such fun companions.
Unlike Dracula, who doesn't feel the need to refurbish Carfax Abbey, Hammer's doing it. And doing it and doing it well.
The sets in this, the fucking score, like this is big cinema shit. The way that we are used to getting big cinema shit, and I think it's just so opulent and fucking delicious.
It's great.
It's great.
Absolutely.
Alex, what's the most messed up moment in the Horror of Dracula?
Didn't we already say it? I had to say it twice. It was so messed up. The unceremonial burial. Just whoop.
Yeah. Dracula looks like he gets caught jerking off and just drops this lady in the grave. And then while Luigi runs away. Ah! Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one. The total disregard for the fairer sex. That's going to sound weird out of context. My messed up moment in this has to be Lucy walking the girl into the cemetery. And the imagery of that, the flowing white dress.
That's pretty fucked up. Yeah.
Her with this innocent girl. Her brother watching, and then she's like, what are you doing? And she comes up and she's like, I've missed you. And her fucking fangs are out. And then the moment when Cushing fucking presses the cross to her face and it's and fucking scars her. And just the brother and the girl watching Aunt Lucy fully transformed, fully hollowed out of the things they loved about her, but just this fucking ferocious tooth and fang monster is fucking great. And then it culminates in him coming back to watch her get fucking staked. Like that to me, that scene in Microcosm is everything I love about the horror of a vampire. Oh, it's fucking great, man. What an absolutely great movie. Guys, we're excited you're here. I believe as the calendar falls, we'll be back Tuesday with Frankenstein. We'll have a new movie on Monday. So lots of fun stuff as we continue to journey through the Universal Monsterverse and the Hammer horror period of these films. So guys, please go to Misfit Parade on YouTube. Subscribe there. See video versions of the pod, clips, short content we're making over there. We hope you guys will enjoy. Also, make sure you go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon page. The best way to support what we're doing here, help us grow. Guys, 5-star ratings and review on wherever you find pods are free and easy ways to help. There's a lot of things you can do to show us some love this month as we bring you so many pods to celebrate this as we stand on the edge of the dark abyss of the horror month. This is the month on the calendar where horror takes over the world. This is our favorite time of the year. If you guys could be so kind, go to the Messed Up Movies Podcast Patreon. Show us some love. Share these with a friend. Let them know what we're doing. More than anything, thank you for spending some time with us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.